Here's something nobody wants to admit. You already know what you should be doing right now. You know that business idea that keeps you up at night? You should be working on it. That relationship that's falling apart? You should be fixing it. That skill that would change your career? You should be learning it. That health issue you keep ignoring? You should be addressing it. But you're not. And every day you don't, life quietly adds another item to the bill you'll eventually have to pay. I'm not here to motivate you. Motivation is cheap. It lasts about as long as your morning coffee. I'm here to show you how to force yourself to do what matters, even when every fiber of your being wants to do literally anything else. Because here's the truth. The things that matter most are almost never the things that feel urgent. They're not screaming for your attention. They're not blowing up your phone. They're just sitting there waiting. And while you handle everything else, your real life passes you by. This audiobook is different. No fluff, no feel-good stories that leave you exactly where you started. Just 10 chapters of practical, brutal, life-changing truth about how to stop avoiding what matters and start building the life you keep promising yourself you'll create someday. Someday ends today. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Why smart people waste their lives on stupid things. You're not lazy. Let's get that straight right now. You work hard, you're busy, you're exhausted by the end of most days. So why does it feel like you're running in place? Why do you look back at the last 6 months and struggle to name one meaningful thing you accomplished? Here's why. You've been tricked into confusing activity with progress. Your brain has a serious design flaw. It can't tell the difference between urgent and important. When something screams for your attention, your brain treats it like a fire that needs putting out. A notification buzzes. An email demands a response. Someone asks for 5 minutes that turns into 50. And your brain says, handle this now. Meanwhile, the important stuff just sits there, quietly, patiently, not demanding anything. Writing that book? It can wait until tomorrow. Starting that workout routine? Next week is fine. Having that difficult conversation? Let's not ruin today. And your brain agrees, because the important stuff isn't triggering your stress response. It's not making noise. So it gets pushed to the back of the line every single day. Let me paint you a picture. You sit down Monday morning with the best intentions. Today, you tell yourself, today I'm going to work on what matters. Then you open your laptop. Just a quick check of your messages, just to clear the deck. 3 hours later, you've responded to 47 things that won't matter next week. You've solved problems that aren't yours. You've gotten involved in discussions that lead nowhere. And that important project? Still sitting there, untouched. Here's what happened. Your brain chose the easy dopamine hit of inbox zero over the hard work of creating something meaningful. Because responding to emails feels productive. It feels like work. It gives you that little hit of accomplishment every time you click send. But productivity and progress aren't the same thing. You can be incredibly productive at things that don't matter. And you can look back at years of productivity with nothing meaningful to show for it. Your mind is conspiring against your future. Every time you face something difficult, something that would actually change your life, your brain launches a full-scale resistance campaign. It suddenly reminds you of 12 other things you need to do. It makes you feel tired. It convinces you that you're not ready yet, that you need to do more research, that the timing isn't quite right. This isn't weakness. This is biology. Your brain is designed to keep you safe and comfortable, and growth is neither safe nor comfortable. Change requires effort. Building something new means risking failure. Doing what matters means stepping into uncertainty. Your brain hates all of that. So it offers you a deal. Do the easy stuff instead. Reorganize your workspace. Update your to-do list. Research the perfect productivity app. These things feel like progress. They look like work, but they're just elaborate forms of procrastination dressed up as responsibility. And here's the worst part. This pattern doesn't announce itself. You don't wake up one day and think, today I'm going to waste my life on things that don't matter. It happens slowly, One postponed decision at a time. One day of choosing easy over important. One week of being busy but not effective. Then you look up and 5 years have passed. You're in the same job you wanted to leave. You're in the same shape you promised to change. You're having the same problems you said you'd fix. And the scary part? You can't even point to what you did with all that time. It just slipped away while you were busy being busy. Think about your average day. How much of it is actually spent on things that move your life forward? Not much, right? Most of your day is spent reacting, responding, handling, managing, dealing with whatever comes at you. You're not driving your life. You're being driven by it. And the things that would actually change everything? The big project, the difficult conversation, the new skill, the health change, the creative work. They sit on your someday list, that magical place where dreams go to die slowly. You tell yourself you'll get to them when things calm down, when you have more time, when you feel more ready. But things never calm down, you never have more time, you never feel completely ready. These are just the lies you tell yourself to make the avoidance feel reasonable. Here's a question for you. What would your life look like if you spent the last year working on what actually mattered? What if instead of spending 3 hours a day on email, social media, and meaningless tasks, you spent just 1 hour a day on your real goals? That's 365 hours. That's enough time to write a book, build a business, transform your body, learn a language, or fix a relationship. But you didn't. And the brutal truth is, if nothing changes, you won't next year either. You'll have the same intentions, the same plans, the same "I'll start Monday" attitude. And you'll get the same results, which is to say, no results at all. I know this sounds harsh. Good. You don't need another person telling you it's okay to keep avoiding what matters. You need someone to tell you the truth. And the truth is this. Every day you spend on things that don't matter is a day you'll never get back. Every week you let slip by without progress is a week closer to looking back with regret. Every month you stay comfortable is a month you could have spent building the life you actually want. The world isn't going to give you permission to focus on what matters. Your boss won't. Your family won't. Your friends won't. They all have their own agendas, their own needs, their own ideas about how you should spend your time. If you wait for everyone else to agree that your priorities matter, you'll wait forever. You have to give yourself permission. You have to be selfish enough to say no to the noise and yes to what changes your life. You have to be brave enough to disappoint people who expect you to keep putting their urgencies above your importance. You have to be strong enough to choose progress over comfort. Starting right now. Not Monday, not next month, not when you feel ready. Now. Because the cost of waiting isn't neutral. It's expensive. Every day you delay is a day of compound interest working against you instead of for you. Every week you avoid the important stuff is a week that your future self will resent you for wasting. You know what matters. Deep down, you know exactly what you should be doing. The question isn't what, it's will you. Will you finally stop fooling yourself? Will you stop hiding behind busy work? Will you stop choosing comfortable mediocrity over uncomfortable growth? The answer to that question will determine everything. Let's make sure it's yes. Chapter 2. The 3-hour rule that changes everything. Let me ask you something. If I gave you 3 completely uninterrupted hours tomorrow morning, what would you work on? Not what you think you should work on, not what looks impressive, what would actually change your life if you made progress on it. Got your answer? Good. Now let me ask you this. When was the last time you actually gave yourself 3 uninterrupted hours to work on it? Last week? Last month? Can't remember? That's the problem, and that's what we're fixing right now. Most people think they don't have time for what matters. That's not true. You have time. You're just giving it to everything else. You're letting other people's priorities, other people's emergencies, other people's demands eat up the hours that should belong to your future. The 3-hour rule is simple. Every single day, before you do anything else, before you check your phone, before you open your email, before you let the world tell you what to do, you give 3 hours to what matters most. 3 hours of deep, focused, uninterrupted work on the one thing that would actually change your trajectory. Not 3 hours scattered throughout the day, not 3 hours of multitasking, 3 consecutive hours of complete focus on your most important work. Do this every day, and I promise you, your life will be unrecognizable in 6 months. Here's why this works. First, 3 hours is enough time to make real progress. It's enough to get into deep work, to push through resistance, to actually create something meaningful. 1 hour isn't enough. You spend the first 30 minutes just getting into the zone. 3 hours gives you time to warm up and then do serious work. Second, doing it first means you're using your best energy on your best work. You're fresh, you're focused, your willpower tank is full. By 3 in the afternoon, after 47 interruptions and 12 decisions and 6 problems, you're running on fumes. That's when most people try to work on important stuff. No wonder it never happens. Third, getting it done first means it actually gets done. When you push important work to later in the day, you're gambling that later will be calm and convenient. It never is. Something always comes up. Someone always needs something. Later becomes tomorrow, and tomorrow becomes never. Do it first, and it's locked in. Done. Untouchable. But here's where most people fail. They agree with the principle, but they don't actually do it. They wake up with good intentions, then immediately grab their phone. Just to check, they tell themselves. Just for a minute. 30 minutes later, they've been pulled in 17 different directions, and their 3 hours are already compromised. You cannot check your phone first thing in the morning and expect to have a focused day. You cannot open your email before doing your important work and expect it to wait patiently. The moment you let the outside world in, you've surrendered control of your day. The moment you start reacting, you've stopped creating. So here's what you do. Tonight before you go to bed, you decide what your 3 hours will be spent on tomorrow. Not 5 things, 1 thing. The one thing that if you made progress on it every single day would change your life. Write it down. Put it where you'll see it first thing. Then when you wake up, you do not touch your phone. You do not check anything. You get up, you handle your basic needs, and you sit down to work. No warm-up, no easing into it, no I'll just quickly check one thing. You start immediately. The resistance will be enormous at first. Your brain will throw you every excuse. You'll suddenly need coffee. You'll remember something urgent. You'll feel like you should just take a quick look at your messages. Ignore all of it. Start the work. The first 15 minutes will feel terrible. Your brain will fight you. Push through. By minute 20, you'll settle in. By minute 30, you'll be in flow. By hour 2, you'll have made more progress than you usually make in a week. 3 hours later, you're done. And here's the beautiful part. It's not even lunchtime yet, and you've already won the day. You've already done what matters. Everything else that happens now is bonus. You can handle emails. You can take calls. You can deal with the urgent stuff, because the important stuff is already handled. This creates a psychological shift that's hard to overstate. You go from feeling behind to feeling ahead. You go from being reactive to being proactive. You go from ending the day with guilt to ending it with satisfaction. All because you protected 3 hours. Now I know what you're thinking. 3 hours every day? That's impossible. I have a job. I have responsibilities. I have people depending on me. I can't just ignore everything for 3 hours. Yes, you can. You just don't want to admit it. Because admitting it means you'll have to do it. And doing it means change. And change is uncomfortable. Let me be blunt. You're not that important. The world will not collapse if you're unreachable for 3 hours. Your email can wait. Your phone can wait. That meeting can probably wait or honestly shouldn't happen at all. We've created this culture where everyone expects immediate responses to everything, and we've all agreed to pretend it's necessary. It's not. What's necessary is you building the life you want. What's necessary is you making progress on what matters. What's necessary is you not looking back in 5 years wondering where the time went. You protect 3 hours for what matters, or you spend 8 hours on what doesn't. Your choice. But you can't complain about lack of progress if you're not willing to create the conditions for progress. You can't say you want to write a book if you won't give yourself time to write. You can't say you want to build a business if you won't give yourself time to build. You can't say you want to learn a skill if you won't give yourself time to learn. The 3-hour rule isn't just about time management. It's about life management. It's about deciding that your goals matter as much as everyone else's needs. It's about treating your dreams with the same urgency you treat other people's requests. It's about finally acting like your future is worth protecting. And here's what happens when you do this for 30 days straight. You'll produce more meaningful work than you have in the last year. You'll build momentum that makes the work easier. You'll develop confidence that makes everything else feel manageable. You'll prove to yourself that you're capable of following through, and you'll never want to go back to your old scattered way of working. But it starts with tomorrow morning. 3 hours, one focus, no interruptions, no excuses. Just you and the work that matters. Can you do that? Because if you can, everything changes. If you can't, nothing does. Choose now. Chapter 3. Stop negotiating with yourself. Every morning you have the same conversation with yourself. The one where you debate whether today is the day you'll actually do what you said you'd do. Maybe you'll work out. Or maybe your legs are sore from 2 days ago. Maybe you'll work on your project. Or maybe you should wait until you have more time. Maybe you'll start that diet. Or maybe you'll start Monday when the week is fresh. This negotiation is killing your progress. Every single time you debate with yourself about whether you should do the thing, you weaken your ability to do it. You're training your brain that your commitments are optional, that your word to yourself doesn't actually mean anything, that whether you follow through depends on how you feel in the moment. Let me tell you something. Successful people don't negotiate with themselves. They don't debate. They don't consider how they feel. They decide what needs to be done, and then they do it. Period. No discussion, no exceptions, no elaborate internal dialogue about whether today is a good day for it. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't wake up and wonder if you feel like brushing your teeth today. You don't negotiate with yourself about whether toothbrushing really matters. You don't tell yourself you'll brush them twice as long tomorrow to make up for skipping today. You just brush them. It's automatic, non-negotiable. That's how everything important in your life needs to become. But here's what you do instead. You wake up and immediately start the negotiation. The alarm goes off for your morning workout, and your brain says, you know, you worked hard yesterday. You deserve rest. You can work out tomorrow. In fact, you'll probably have more energy tomorrow, so it'll be a better workout. This sounds reasonable. That's the trap. Your brain is excellent at making terrible decisions sound perfectly logical. It's a lawyer arguing for your comfort, and it always wins because you're both the judge and the jury, and you really want to rule in favor of staying comfortable. So you skip the workout, and you tell yourself it's fine because you'll definitely do it tomorrow. But tomorrow comes, and the same negotiation happens, and the same decision gets made, and your goals stay exactly where they were, waiting for a version of you that never shows up. Here's the truth. Every time you negotiate with yourself about whether to follow through, you've already lost. The negotiation itself is the problem. The moment you open that door, the moment you consider that maybe you don't have to do the thing, you've given yourself permission to quit. You need to close that door permanently. The things that matter are not up for debate. You don't negotiate. You don't reconsider. You don't evaluate how you feel. You said you'd do it, so you do it. End of discussion. This sounds rigid. Good. Rigidity in the right areas creates freedom everywhere else. When you're rigid about your non-negotiables, when you remove the option to skip them, you actually free up mental energy. You're not spending an hour every morning debating with yourself. You're not carrying guilt all day about what you didn't do. You just do it and move on. Think about the things in your life that actually get done consistently. They're not the things you feel like doing. They're the things you've decided are non-negotiable. Going to work, feeding your kids, paying your bills. You don't wake up and wonder if today feels like a good day to go to work. You just go because it's not optional. Your important goals need the same treatment. Working out is not optional. Working on your project is not optional. Eating well is not optional. Whatever matters to you, whatever would change your life if you did it consistently, that becomes non-negotiable. You remove the option to skip it based on feelings. But you have to decide this in advance. You can't wait until the moment and expect your tired, resistant, comfort-seeking brain to make the right call. You have to decide right now, while you're thinking clearly, that certain things are happening regardless of how future you feels about them. Write them down, your non-negotiables, the 3 to 5 things that happen every day no matter what. Not 10 things, not 20, 3 to 5. Because the power isn't in having a huge list, it's in having a short list that you actually follow through on every single time. Here's mine. Every day, I work 3 hours on my most important project. Every day, I move my body for at least 30 minutes. Every day, I eat food that supports my goals, not my cravings. That's it. 3 things. Non-negotiable. Don't care how I feel, don't care what else is happening. These three things happen. Some days I want to do them. Some days I don't. The feeling is completely irrelevant. I don't ask myself if I feel like it. I don't evaluate whether today is a good day for it. I don't negotiate. I just do them. And that consistency is why I make progress while people with better genetics, more talent, and bigger opportunities stay stuck. Now here's what's going to happen. You're going to set your non-negotiables. You're going to feel good about it. You're going to start strong. And then, about 3 days in, you're going to have a moment. Something will come up. You'll be tired. You'll be busy. You'll have a completely valid reason why today should be an exception. This is the test. This is where you find out if you're serious, because there will always be valid reasons. There will always be legitimate excuses. Life will always provide you with perfectly reasonable justifications for skipping what matters. The question is, will you accept them? If you do, you've just taught yourself that your non-negotiables are actually negotiable, that when things get inconvenient, you bail, that your commitments mean nothing, and you'll be right back where you started, full of intentions and empty of results. If you don't, if you find a way to follow through anyway, you've just taught yourself something powerful. You've taught yourself that you keep your word even when it's hard, that your commitments matter more than your comfort, that you can be trusted to do what you said you'd do. That's confidence, real confidence, not the fake kind that comes from affirmations and pep talks, the kind that comes from evidence, from repeatedly proving to yourself that you follow through. Every time you honor your non-negotiables when you don't feel like it, you build trust with yourself, and that trust becomes the foundation for everything else. But you have to be ruthless about this. No exceptions means no exceptions. Not for holidays, not for bad days, not for busy weeks. Non-negotiable means non-negotiable. The moment you start making exceptions, they become the rule. You go from someone who follows through to someone who follows through when it's convenient, which means you don't actually follow through at all. I know what you're thinking. What about when I'm actually sick? What about emergencies? What about legitimate circumstances that make it impossible? Fine. Real emergencies, real illness, actual impossible situations, those get exceptions. But here's the key. They're rare. And you know the difference between a real exception and a convenient excuse. You know when you're actually too sick to work out versus just not feeling like it. You know when something is actually an emergency versus just an inconvenience. You know when you truly can't versus simply don't want to. Be honest about that distinction. Your progress depends on it. Stop negotiating with yourself. Decide what matters, make it non-negotiable, then do it every single day regardless of how you feel. That's the whole system. It's not complicated, it's just hard, because it requires you to override your feelings with your commitments, to value your future more than your current comfort, to trust the process more than your mood. But here's what you get in return: progress. Real, visible, undeniable progress. The kind of progress that changes your life instead of just filling your time. The kind of progress that makes you proud instead of guilty. The kind of progress that proves you're capable of more than you've been settling for. Starting tomorrow, no more debates, no more negotiations, no more reconsidering based on feelings. You decide, you commit, you follow through. Every single day, without exception. That's how you stop wishing your life was different and start making it different. Choose now. Chapter 4. The Power of Doing Less Better. You're doing too much. That's your problem. Not that you're not doing enough. You're doing way too much of the wrong things and not nearly enough of the right ones. You've convinced yourself that more is better. More goals, more projects, more commitments, more hustle. But more isn't better. Better is better. And better comes from doing less, but doing it so well that it actually matters. Right now, you probably have 15 goals. Lose weight, build a business, learn a language, read more, wake up early. Be more present with family. Network more. Save money. Start a side hustle. Write a book. Get organized. Eat healthier. Exercise consistently. Learn a new skill. Fix your relationships. How many of those are actually happening? How many are making real progress? 1? Maybe 2? The rest are just taking up space in your mind, making you feel guilty and scattered. Here's what successful people know that you're still learning. You can't do 15 things well. You can barely do 3 things well. And if you want to do something exceptionally well, something that actually changes your life, you need to focus on one thing and do it with everything you've got. Not forever, just until it's done, until it's built, until it's real. Then you can move to the next thing. But you're afraid to do that. You're afraid that if you focus on one thing, you'll miss out on everything else. You're afraid that narrowing your focus means limiting your potential. So you keep all 15 goals on your list and make zero progress on any of them. You stay busy, you stay scattered, and you stay exactly where you are. Let me tell you what happens when you focus. When you take those 15 goals and cut them down to 3, something magical happens. Suddenly, you have enough time. Suddenly, you have enough energy. Suddenly, you're not spread so thin that nothing gets your best effort. You can go deep instead of staying shallow. You can build momentum instead of constantly starting over. You can see real results instead of just maintaining intentions. Think about it. If you have 15 goals and you give each one an hour a week, you've spent 15 hours accomplishing almost nothing. But if you have 3 goals and you give each one 5 hours a week, you've spent the same 15 hours, but you've actually made real progress. You've gone deep enough to see results, deep enough to build skills, deep enough to create change. The math is simple. The execution is hard. Because cutting those 12 goals means admitting you can't do everything. It means choosing. It means saying no to good things so you can say yes to great things. It means letting go of the fantasy that you can somehow balance it all and accepting the reality that focus requires sacrifice. So here's what you do. Take out a piece of paper right now. Write down every goal you have. Every single thing you're trying to accomplish or improve or change. Everything. Get it all out. Now look at that list and ask yourself one question. If I could only accomplish 3 things this year, which 3 would change my life the most? Not which 3 sound impressive, not which 3 other people think you should do. Which 3 would make the biggest actual difference in your real life? Circle those 3. Now take the rest of that list and throw it away. Not hide it, not save it for later. Throw it away. Those other goals are distractions. They're energy vampires. They're making you feel busy and productive while keeping you from doing what actually matters. You can come back to them later, after you've accomplished your 3, but not before, not while you're still trying to do everything at once. Now you have 3 goals, 3 focuses, 3 areas where you're going to direct your energy. This doesn't mean you ignore everything else in your life. You still show up to work. You still take care of your responsibilities, but these three things get your best time, your best energy, your best focus. These three things are what you measure your days by. And here's the key. You don't just work on them when you feel like it. You don't fit them in around everything else. You build your entire day around them. You wake up and ask, what can I do today to move forward on these three things? You plan your week around them. You say no to opportunities that don't serve them. You protect time for them like your life depends on it, because in a way, it does. This is how you go from someone who tries a lot of things to someone who accomplishes important things. This is how you go from scattered to focused, from busy to effective, from wishing to achieving. You stop spreading yourself thin. You stop trying to do everything. You do less, but you do it better than you've ever done anything before. Let me tell you what happens after 6 months of this. You'll have made more progress on your 3 goals than you made on your 15 goals in the last 5 years. You'll have built real skills, created real results, made real changes. And you'll look back and realize that all those other goals you threw away, they didn't actually matter that much. They were just noise, distractions, things you thought you should want, but didn't really need. But here's the hard part. Everyone around you is still doing the 15-goal thing. They're still hustling in every direction. They're still posting about their 47 projects. And they're going to make you feel like you're not doing enough, like you're missing out, like you should be diversifying your efforts too. Ignore them. They're not making progress either. They're just better at looking busy. You're playing a different game now, a game where depth beats breadth, where finishing beats starting, where results beat intentions. Let them chase everything. You focus on what matters. And when you accomplish those 3 goals, when you've actually done the thing instead of just trying to do the thing, you'll understand why focus is the most underrated skill in the world. You'll understand why people who do one thing exceptionally well end up further ahead than people who do 10 things adequately. You'll understand why less really is more. Starting today, you're doing less. Not because you're lazy, not because you're not ambitious, because you're finally smart enough to realize that spreading yourself thin is the enemy of excellence. You're choosing depth over breadth, quality over quantity, results over busy work. 3 goals, all in, no distractions. That's your new strategy. Execute it and watch your life transform. Chapter 5. What to do when you don't feel like doing anything. Let's talk about the days when you wake up and you just don't have it. You're not sick, you're not injured, you're just tired, unmotivated, heavy. The thought of doing what you're supposed to do feels impossible. Every fiber of your being wants to skip today, to take it easy, to start fresh tomorrow. These are the days that determine everything. Because here's the truth. Everyone can work hard when they're motivated. Everyone can follow through when they feel good. That's easy. That takes no discipline. The days that separate people who achieve their goals from people who just talk about them are the days when you don't feel like it, but you do it anyway. Most people treat their goals like optional appointments. They show up when it's convenient, when they're in the mood, when conditions are perfect, and they wonder why they never make progress. You don't make progress with perfect conditions. You make progress with imperfect action. You make progress by showing up, especially when you don't feel like it. Think about it this way. Every goal has a price, and that price isn't paid in money or time or even effort. It's paid in the days you don't feel like showing up. Those days are the currency. Those days are what it costs to build something real. Every time you skip one of those days, you're refusing to pay the price, and the goal waits patiently for the payment you keep promising but never delivering. So what do you do on the days when you wake up and you just don't have it? You don't negotiate, you don't debate, you don't sit there scrolling your phone waiting for motivation to magically appear. You make yourself start. Not do the whole thing, not have a perfect session, just start, because starting breaks the resistance. Your brain lies to you about how hard things are. It exaggerates the difficulty. It makes the task feel impossible. But once you actually start, once you're 5 minutes in, you realize it's not that bad. The resistance was all in your head. This happens every single time. The anticipation of the work is worse than the work itself. Here's a technique that changes everything. On days when you don't feel like doing your important work, tell yourself you only have to do 10 minutes. That's it, just 10 minutes. Not an hour, not the full session, 10 minutes. Anyone can do anything for 10 minutes, right? Even on your worst day, you can handle 10 minutes. So you set a timer, you start working, and one of two things happens. Either you do your 10 minutes and you stop, which is fine because you still showed up and you still kept your commitment, or you do your 10 minutes and you realize you actually can keep going. The resistance is gone. The hardest part was starting. Now you're in motion, and motion wants to stay in motion. Most of the time, you'll keep going because the resistance isn't about the work itself. It's about the transition from not working to working. Once you're on the other side of that transition, the work itself is manageable. But you only get there by starting, by refusing to negotiate with the part of your brain that wants to quit before you've even begun. But let's say you do your 10 minutes and you're done. You gave everything you had and 10 minutes was it. That still counts. That's still a win because you showed up. You didn't let the feeling win. You prove to yourself that your commitment matters more than your mood. That's huge. That builds the kind of discipline that changes lives. Here's what you need to understand. Motivation is not the cause of action. It's the result. You don't wait to feel motivated and then act. You act, and then motivation shows up. You think successful people feel like doing hard work all the time? They don't. They just don't wait for the feeling. They've learned that the feeling comes after you start, not before. This is why routines matter so much. When you have a routine, you remove the decision. You don't wake up and wonder if today is a workout day. It's Tuesday, and you work out on Tuesdays, period. You don't debate, you don't evaluate, you don't check in with your feelings, you just do what Tuesday means. The routine decides, so you don't have to. But routines only work if you protect them on the hard days. If you only follow your routine when it's easy, you don't actually have a routine. You have a preference. A routine is what you do regardless of how you feel. It's the anchor that holds your life together when everything else is chaos. Now let's talk about what happens when you consistently show up on the days you don't feel like doing it. You build something most people never develop: self-trust. You prove to yourself over and over that you keep your word, that when you say you're going to do something, you do it. This matters more than you realize. Every time you follow through when it's hard, you deposit into your self-trust account. Every time you bail, you withdraw. The balance of that account determines how much you believe in yourself. And when you believe in yourself, when you trust yourself to follow through, everything gets easier. You stop doubting whether you'll actually do the thing. You stop questioning your commitment. You just know. You're someone who does what they say they're going to do. That identity is worth more than talent, more than opportunity, more than anything external. Let me give you a mental shift that helps. Stop viewing hard days as obstacles. Start viewing them as opportunities to prove something to yourself. Every day you don't feel like showing up is a day you can demonstrate your discipline. It's a day you can strengthen that self-trust. It's a day you can separate yourself from everyone who quits when it gets uncomfortable. The people at the top of any field aren't there because they love doing the work every single day. They're there because they do the work every single day, whether they love it or not. That's the difference. They've accepted that feelings are irrelevant, that comfort is not the goal, that showing up is the job. You can do this too. You can become the kind of person who doesn't need to feel ready, who doesn't need perfect conditions, who just shows up and does the work regardless of what their emotions are screaming. But it starts with one decision, the decision to stop letting your feelings determine your actions. Tomorrow morning, you're going to wake up and you might not feel like doing what you need to do. That's fine, expected, normal. The feeling doesn't matter. What matters is what you do despite the feeling. Set your timer for 10 minutes, start your work. Push through the first 5 minutes of resistance and watch what happens. Watch how the impossible becomes possible the moment you stop negotiating and start moving. Do this enough times and you'll realize something powerful. You're not actually at the mercy of your motivation. You're not controlled by how you feel. You have the ability to act independently of your emotions. And that ability, that skill, is what makes everything else possible. Master it, and nothing can stop you. Chapter 6. How to Say No to Everything That Doesn't Matter. You're drowning in commitments that don't serve you. Right now, your calendar is full of things you agreed to weeks ago that you dread today. Your to-do list is packed with tasks that won't move your life forward. Your phone is full of conversations that drain your energy. And you wonder why you don't have time for what actually matters. Here's the truth. You have time. You're just giving it to the wrong things. And you're giving it away because you don't know how to say no. Or, more accurately, you know how to say no, but you're too uncomfortable doing it. So you say yes to things you don't want to do, don't have time for, and don't care about. And then you resent the person who asked and yourself for agreeing. Let me be clear. Every yes you give to something that doesn't matter is a no to something that does. Every time you agree to a meeting that doesn't serve your goals, you're saying no to working on your goals. Every time you say yes to hanging out when you'd rather be building your business, you're saying no to your business. Your time is finite. Your yeses have consequences. Most people say yes for the wrong reasons. They say yes because they don't want to disappoint someone. They say yes because they want to be seen as helpful. They say yes because they're afraid of being judged as selfish. They say yes because no feels uncomfortable in the moment. So they trade momentary discomfort for long-term resentment. But here's what nobody tells you. The people who respect you most are the people who respect your boundaries. When you say no clearly and honestly, people who matter will understand. They might be disappointed, but they'll respect it. The people who get offended by your no, who try to guilt you or manipulate you into changing it, those people don't respect you anyway. They respect your compliance. You need to get comfortable with disappointing people. Not because you're trying to be difficult, because you're trying to protect what matters. Your time, your energy, your goals, your peace. These things are worth protecting, even if it means someone thinks you're selfish, especially if it means someone thinks you're selfish. Here's how you say no. You say it quickly, you say it clearly, and you don't over-explain. The mistake most people make is they give a 15-minute explanation for why they can't do something. They're trying to make the other person feel better. They're trying to justify their decision. But all they're really doing is creating an opening for negotiation. When someone asks you to do something you don't want to do, you say, "I appreciate you thinking of me, but I can't commit to that right now." That's it. No elaborate explanation, no list of everything else you're doing, no apology for having boundaries, just a clear, polite no. And when they push back, because some people will, you repeat it. "I understand, but my answer is still no." You don't defend, you don't justify, you don't explain. You just hold your boundary. Most people will respect it. The ones who don't were never respecting you in the first place. Now, here's the part where you're going to struggle. You're going to feel guilty. You're going to feel like you should have said yes. You're going to replay the conversation and wonder if you were rude. This is normal. This is your people-pleasing programming fighting back. But guilt is just a feeling. It doesn't mean you did something wrong. It means you did something different. Every time you feel that guilt, remind yourself what you said yes to by saying no. You said yes to your goals. You said yes to your peace. You said yes to your priorities. You chose yourself. And that's not selfish. That's necessary. You can't build the life you want if you're constantly giving your time away to things that don't serve it. But saying no to others is only half the battle. You also need to say no to yourself, to your impulses, to your distractions, to your excuses. You need to get just as good at telling yourself no as you are at telling others no, because honestly, you're probably your own biggest time thief. How many hours do you lose to scrolling, to mindless internet browsing, to watching TV you don't even enjoy, to checking your phone every 3 minutes? You're not just saying yes to other people's demands, you're saying yes to your own worst habits. And those habits are costing you just as much as any obligation. So you need boundaries with yourself too. Rules that you don't negotiate. No phone before your important work is done. No social media during work hours. No saying yes to invitations without sleeping on it first. No starting new projects until current ones are finished. These boundaries protect you from yourself. Here's a practice that changes everything. Before you say yes to anything new, ask yourself 3 questions. First, does this align with my current goals? If it doesn't directly support what you're trying to accomplish, it's a no. Second, do I actually want to do this or do I just feel obligated? If it's obligation, it's a no. Third, if I say yes to this, what am I saying no to? If what you're giving up matters more than what you're gaining, it's a no. This filter eliminates 90% of the things you're currently saying yes to. And that 90% is exactly what's keeping you from the 10% that matters. When you remove the noise, you create space for the signal. When you stop filling your time with everything, you create room for something meaningful. But let me warn you, when you start saying no, people are going to notice. They're going to comment on how you've changed, how you're different, how you're not as available as you used to be. Some people will respect it, some people won't. The people who don't, you're going to lose. And that's okay, because what you're gaining is worth more than what you're losing. You're gaining control of your life. You're gaining time for what matters. You're gaining the ability to make real progress instead of just managing everyone else's priorities. You're gaining self-respect, the kind that comes from finally putting your goals above other people's convenience. Starting today, practice saying no. Say it to one thing that doesn't serve you, one commitment, one request, one obligation. Say it clearly, without apology, without over-explaining. Feel the discomfort. Sit with it. Realize that the discomfort passes and nothing terrible happens. Then do it again tomorrow and the day after. The more you practice, the easier it gets, and the more you'll realize that most of the things you thought you had to do, you didn't. Most of the commitments you thought were mandatory, they weren't. You've been giving away your time voluntarily, thinking you had no choice. But you do. You've always had a choice. You just haven't been making it. Make it now. Say no to what doesn't matter so you can finally say yes to what does. Your time is your life. Stop giving it away. Protect it. Guard it. Spend it only on what moves you toward the person you want to become and the life you want to live. Everything else is noise. Let it go. Chapter 7. The Art of Finishing What You Start. You're really good at starting things, new projects, new habits, new goals. You start with energy and excitement and big plans for about 3 days, maybe a week if you're disciplined. Then the excitement fades, the work gets boring, and you quietly move on to the next shiny thing, leaving behind a trail of half-finished projects that remind you daily that you don't follow through. This is your pattern. Start strong, lose momentum, abandon. Repeat. And every time you do this, you're teaching yourself that you're not someone who finishes things. You're teaching yourself that when things get hard or boring or slow, you quit. That's a terrible thing to teach yourself, because finishing is everything. Let me tell you the difference between people who accomplish big things and people who just try to accomplish big things. It's not talent, it's not resources, it's not even work ethic. It's the ability to finish, to push through the middle when it's not exciting anymore, to keep going when progress is invisible, to stay committed when the novelty has worn off. Everyone can start. Starting is fun. Starting is full of possibility. Starting makes you feel productive. But starting without finishing is just procrastination with extra steps. It's keeping yourself busy without actually building anything. It's motion without progress. Think about how many things you've started and abandoned. How many books you've started writing. How many businesses you've planned but never launched. How many workout programs you've quit after week 2. How many skills you've dabbled in but never mastered. How many conversations you've avoided having. All that started energy with nothing to show for it. Now think about how different your life would be if you'd finished just 3 of those things. If you'd pushed through the boring middle and actually completed what you started. You'd have skills, you'd have results, you'd have proof that you can do hard things. But you don't, because you keep starting new things instead of finishing old ones. Here's why you quit. You quit because the beginning promises you something the middle doesn't deliver fast enough. The beginning promises transformation. The middle delivers repetition. The beginning is exciting. The middle is mundane. The beginning makes you feel like you're making progress. The middle makes you wonder if anything is changing at all. So you lose faith. You start thinking, maybe this isn't working. Maybe I should try a different approach. Maybe there's a better way. And instead of pushing through, you restart. You find a new program, a new system, a new strategy, and you convince yourself that this time will be different. But it's not, because the problem isn't the program, it's your inability to stick with anything long enough to see results. Results don't come from perfect strategies. They come from imperfect strategies executed consistently over time. You could follow a mediocre plan for 6 months and get better results than following a perfect plan for 3 weeks, because execution beats planning. Finishing beats starting. Consistency beats intensity. So how do you become someone who finishes? First, you stop starting so many things. You're not allowed to start something new until you finish what you're working on. Period. No exceptions. No, but this new idea is really good. No, this won't take long. No, I'll just try this and see. Finish first. Then start something new. This forces you to be selective. You can't start every idea that pops into your head. You have to choose carefully because you know you're committing to finish. This is good. This makes you think before you start. It makes you consider whether you really want to do this thing or if you just like the idea of doing it. Second, you accept that the middle sucks. Every single project has a phase where it's not fun anymore, where progress slows down, where you're just grinding. This is normal. This is expected. This is not a sign that you're on the wrong path. It's a sign that you're in the part where most people quit, which means if you keep going, you separate yourself from most people. The middle is where discipline matters. The middle is where your commitment gets tested. The middle is where you find out if you actually want what you said you wanted or if you just wanted the idea of it. Push through the middle and you'll get to the end. Quit in the middle and you'll restart forever. Third, you measure progress differently. You're quitting because you're not seeing big changes fast enough. But progress in the middle isn't about big changes. It's about small, consistent steps. You're not looking for transformation every day. You're looking for evidence that you showed up, that you did the work, that you moved forward, even slightly. Keep a log. Write down what you did each day toward your goal. Not what results you got, what work you did. Because in the middle, the work is the progress. The results lag behind. You're building something under the surface that you can't see yet, but it's there. Trust it. Keep building. Fourth, you make it public. Tell someone what you're working on. Tell them you're committing to finish. Give them permission to ask you about it. Create external accountability. Because when no one knows what you're doing, it's easy to quietly quit. But when you've told people, when they're checking in, it's harder to abandon it. Use that pressure. Let it keep you going. Fifth, you shrink the finish line. You're quitting because the end feels too far away. So create smaller finish lines. If you're writing a book, don't focus on finishing the whole book. Focus on finishing this chapter, then the next chapter. If you're losing weight, don't focus on the final number. Focus on finishing this week, then next week. Small finish lines keep you motivated. Every time you cross a small finish line, you prove to yourself that you can finish. You build finishing momentum. You create evidence that you follow through. This makes the next finish line easier, and the next, until finishing becomes your identity instead of starting. But here's the hard truth. Some things shouldn't be finished. Some projects were mistakes. Some goals don't actually matter to you. And finishing something you don't care about just to say you finished is stupid. That's not discipline, that's stubbornness. So how do you know when to push through and when to quit? Ask yourself, do I still believe this matters? Not do I still feel excited about it. Excitement fades. But does this still align with my goals? Will finishing this move my life forward? If yes, push through. If no, quit intentionally and move on. The key word there is intentionally. Don't just drift away from projects. Make a conscious decision. Say out loud, I'm choosing to stop working on this because it no longer serves my goals. Own the decision, then let it go without guilt. That's very different from quietly abandoning something because it got hard. When you finish things, you build confidence, real confidence, the kind that comes from evidence, not affirmations. Every time you complete something difficult, you prove to yourself that you can, that you're capable, that when you commit, you follow through. That changes how you see yourself. It changes how you approach new challenges. You stop doubting whether you'll actually do it. You know you will, because you have a track record. You've done it before. That certainty is powerful. It lets you take on bigger challenges because you trust yourself to see them through. Starting today, commit to finishing one thing. One project you've abandoned. One goal you've been avoiding. One habit you keep restarting. Pick one. Commit to finishing it before you start anything new. Push through the boring middle. Show up when you don't feel like it. Keep going when progress slows down. And when you finish, when you actually complete something you started, notice how it feels. Notice the pride. Notice the confidence. Notice how it changes your belief in yourself. That feeling is worth more than any result, because that feeling is what makes everything else possible. You're not someone who starts things anymore. You're someone who finishes them. Make that true. Prove it to yourself, one finish at a time. Chapter 8. Creating Systems That Work When You Don't Feel Like It. Willpower is overrated. It's unreliable. It runs out. And basing your entire strategy on willpower is why you keep failing. You wake up on Monday full of determination, ready to change everything. By Wednesday, you're exhausted. By Friday, you're back to your old habits, and you blame yourself for not having enough discipline. But the problem isn't your discipline, it's your strategy. You're trying to muscle your way through every decision, every day. You're using willpower like it's an unlimited resource. It's not. Willpower is like a battery. It drains throughout the day. And when it's empty, you make the easy choice, the comfortable choice, the choice that keeps you stuck. Successful people aren't more disciplined than you. They're smarter about not needing discipline. They build systems that make the right choice automatic. They create environments that pull them toward their goals instead of fighting against them every day. They design their lives so that the path of least resistance leads to progress, not comfort. That's what we're building now. Systems that work when you don't feel like it. Environments that make success easier than failure. Structures that remove the need for constant decision-making. Because decision-making drains willpower, and you need that willpower for the hard stuff. Don't waste it deciding whether to work out. Make it automatic. Here's how you do it. First, you remove decision points. Every time you have to decide whether to do something, you create an opportunity to not do it. Your tired brain will take that opportunity, so you remove it. You decide once, then you follow the system. No daily debates. Example, you want to work out consistently. Don't decide every morning whether to work out. Decide once that you work out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 a.m. That's the system. Now, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the question isn't, should I work out? The question is, what time is it? If it's 6 a.m., you work out. Decision removed. System activated. Second, you control your environment. Your environment is stronger than your willpower. If there's junk food in your house, you'll eat it. Doesn't matter how much willpower you have, you'll eventually be tired, stressed, or bored, and you'll eat it. But if it's not there, you can't. Your environment just made the decision for you. Look at your environment right now. Is it set up for success or failure? If you want to read more, are books visible and accessible or buried in a closet? If you want to eat better, is your kitchen full of healthy food or is it full of snacks and takeout menus? If you want to focus on deep work, is your workspace free of distractions or is your phone sitting right there begging for attention? Your environment is either helping you or hurting you. There's no neutral, so make it help you. Put your workout clothes out the night before. Meal prep on Sundays. Delete social media apps from your phone. Put your phone in another room when you work. Make the right choice the easy choice. Third, you lower the activation energy. Every task has an activation energy, the amount of effort required to start. The higher the activation energy, the less likely you are to do it. So, you lower it. You make starting so easy that you'd feel stupid not doing it. Want to work out but can't get yourself to the gym? Lower the activation energy. Commit to putting on your workout clothes. That's it. Once you're dressed, you'll probably go. Want to write but can't get yourself to start? Lower the activation energy. Commit to writing one sentence. Once you write one, you'll probably write more. The hard part is starting, so make starting ridiculously easy. Fourth, you create accountability. When no one knows what you're doing, it's easy to quit. But when you've told someone, when you've made it public, quitting means admitting failure. That's uncomfortable. Use that discomfort. Find an accountability partner, someone who's working on their own goals. Check in with each other daily. Share what you're committing to do. Report whether you did it. This works because you're not just letting yourself down anymore, you're letting someone else down. And most people will follow through for others even when they won't follow through for themselves. Use that. Let external accountability carry you when internal motivation fails. Fifth, you track everything. You can't manage what you don't measure. If you're not tracking your progress, you have no idea whether you're actually making progress. You just have a vague feeling. And feelings lie. Data doesn't. So, track your workouts. Track your writing. Track your sales calls. Track whatever matters. Not because you're going to obsess over the numbers, because seeing progress motivates you to keep going, and seeing a streak motivates you not to break it. Once you've worked out 15 days in a row, breaking that streak feels wrong. So you keep going. The system is working. Sixth, you automate decisions. The fewer decisions you have to make, the more willpower you preserve for what matters. So automate everything you can. Eat the same breakfast every day. Wear similar clothes so you're not deciding what to wear. Have a set work schedule so you're not deciding when to start. Successful people aren't making 100 decisions a day. They're making 5. The rest are automated. They have systems, routines, and structures that make most choices automatic. This frees up their mental energy for the decisions that actually matter. Now here's what happens when you build these systems. Your life gets easier. Not because the work gets easier, because you stop fighting yourself. You stop having internal debates about whether you should do the thing. The system says you do it, so you do it. The decision was already made. You also build momentum. Every time you follow your system, you strengthen it. It becomes more automatic, more natural. Eventually, you're not even thinking about it. You just do it. That's when transformation happens, when the hard thing becomes the normal thing. But here's the catch. Systems take time to build. The first 2 weeks are hard. You're still fighting resistance. You're still tempted to skip. You're still relying heavily on willpower. But push through those 2 weeks. By week 3, it gets easier. By week 4, it's a habit. By week 8, it's automatic. Most people quit in week 2. They think the system isn't working because it still feels hard. But that's exactly when it is working. You're building the habit. You're rewiring your brain. It's supposed to feel hard at first. That's the work. Stay with it. And when you miss a day, because you will, don't abandon the system. Just get back on track the next day. 1 missed day doesn't matter. 2 missed days starts a pattern. 3 missed days breaks the system. So you miss once, then you get right back to it. No guilt, no drama, just back to the system. The goal isn't perfection, it's consistency. Your system should be strong enough to handle life's disruptions, flexible enough to adapt when things change, but rigid enough that you can't just skip whenever you feel like it. That balance takes trial and error. You'll adjust as you go. But the key is to start building now. Don't wait until Monday. Don't wait until you feel ready. Start today with one system, one area of your life where you're going to remove the decision-making and create a structure that works automatically. Maybe it's your morning routine. Maybe it's your work schedule. Maybe it's your eating habits. Pick one. Design the system, set up the environment, remove the decision points. Then follow it for 30 days without exception. See what happens. Watch how much easier life gets when you're not constantly fighting yourself. Systems beat willpower every time. Build the systems now and let them carry you to where discipline alone never could. Chapter 9. Why You're Closer Than You Think. You're about to quit. Not officially, not dramatically, but you're thinking about it. You've been working on this goal for weeks, maybe months, and you don't see the progress you expected. It feels like nothing is changing, like you're putting in all this effort for nothing, and you're wondering if it's worth it, if maybe you should try something else. Don't quit. Not yet, because here's what you don't know. You're closer than you think, so much closer. You're in that phase where progress is happening under the surface, where the work is building something you can't see yet, where one more week might be the week everything clicks, and you're about to walk away right before the breakthrough. This is the cruelest part of any goal, the lag time between effort and results. You work hard today and you expect to see changes today, but that's not how it works. Everything worth achieving has a lag time. You plant seeds today and harvest months later. You're not seeing results because you're not supposed to yet. You're still planting. Think about it like this. You go to the gym for a week and wonder why you don't look different. You don't look different because a week isn't long enough. Your body is changing, but not visibly yet. You're building strength in your muscles. You're improving your cardiovascular system. You're creating neural pathways that make the movements easier. All of that is happening, you just can't see it. But most people quit at week 2 because they can't see it. They look in the mirror, see no change, and decide it's not working. Then they try a different program, and they quit that one at week 2 for the same reason. They spend years jumping from program to program, never staying long enough to see results from any of them. The program wasn't the problem. Their impatience was. They were looking for changes on a timeline that doesn't exist. Real transformation takes time. More time than you want it to. More time than social media makes you think it should. But it's happening. If you're doing the work, it's happening. This is true for everything. You write for a month and wonder why you're not a better writer yet? You are. You just can't tell. Your brain is learning. Your skills are developing. You're getting reps. In 6 months, you'll look back at what you wrote today and cringe because you've improved so much. But you can't see that improvement from inside the process. You only see it in retrospect. You work on your business for 3 months and wonder why you don't have customers yet? Because 3 months is nothing. You're still building, still learning, still figuring it out. The businesses you admire took years to get where they are, but you're comparing your month 3 to their year 5. That's not fair. That's not realistic. That's not how time works. So why do we expect immediate results? Because we live in a world of instant gratification. You click a button and something arrives at your door tomorrow. You send a message and get a response in seconds. You're used to immediate feedback. But real goals don't work that way. Real growth is slow, and our brains aren't built to handle slow. Your brain wants proof that this is working. It wants evidence that the effort matters. And when it doesn't get that evidence quickly, it assumes failure. It tells you to stop wasting time, to try something else, to give up. But your brain is wrong. The absence of visible progress doesn't mean absence of actual progress. Let me tell you what's really happening right now. Every day you show up, you're building capacity. You're training your discipline. You're proving to yourself that you can stay consistent. That's valuable even if nothing else changes. Because that capacity, that discipline, that consistency, those are the foundations for everything else. You're not just working on your goal. You're working on yourself. And that work compounds. Every rep counts. Every day matters. Even the days where it feels pointless. Especially those days. Because those are the days that separate you from everyone who quits. Those are the days where real growth happens. When you show up, even though you don't see results, you're building something most people never developed. Faith in the process. Here's a rule that will save you. Judge your progress by your actions, not your results. Results lag. Actions are immediate. Did you do the work today? Yes, then you made progress. Doesn't matter what you see in the mirror. Doesn't matter what the scale says. Doesn't matter how many likes you got. You did the work. That's progress. Track your actions obsessively. Track your results loosely. Because actions are within your control. Results aren't. You can control whether you show up, whether you do the reps, whether you put in the time. You can't control when results appear, so focus on what you control and trust that results will follow. But I get it. It's hard to keep going when you see nothing changing. So let me give you some milestones to look for. The ones that show progress is happening even if you can't see the final result yet. First milestone, it gets easier. Not easy, but easier. The thing that felt impossible 3 weeks ago now feels manageable. That's progress. That's your capacity growing. Second milestone, you stop negotiating. You used to debate whether to show up. Now you just show up. The habit is forming. That's progress. Third milestone, you notice small improvements. Your writing is slightly better. Your workouts are slightly less awful. Your work is slightly more efficient. Slight is progress. Fourth milestone, you stop caring what others think. You're doing this for you now, not for validation. That's huge progress. These milestones matter more than the final result, because these are the changes that last. These are what turn goals into identity. You're not just trying to achieve something, you're becoming someone who achieves things. That transformation is worth more than any single result. And here's what happens if you just keep going. If you refuse to quit, if you push through the lag time and stay consistent even when you see nothing changing. One day, you'll notice something, a small change, then another, and suddenly it feels like everything is happening at once. But it's not sudden. It's the accumulation of all those invisible days finally becoming visible. People will say you got lucky, that it happened overnight, but you'll know the truth. It took months of showing up when nothing was happening, months of trusting the process, months of doing the work without proof it was working. That's not luck. That's discipline. That's commitment. That's faith. So don't quit. Not now. Not when you're this close. Give it 6 more months. Give it a full year. Give it whatever it actually takes, not whatever you wish it took. Because quitting guarantees failure. Staying guarantees a chance, and a chance is all you need. You're closer than you think. Trust the process. Trust the timeline. Trust that your effort matters even when you can't see evidence of it yet. Keep showing up. Keep doing the work. Keep believing it's building something because it is. And the moment you'd actually see proof of that might be right after the moment you were going to quit. Don't let that be you. Don't quit right before the breakthrough. Stay. One more day. One more week. One more month. Stay long enough to see what you're building become real. You're so close. Don't stop now. Chapter 10. Living like everything you do today matters. Here's the question that changes everything. If the actions you took today were repeated every day for the next 5 years, where would you end up? Think about that seriously. Today, this exact day, if it became your template, what would your life look like in 5 years? For most people, the answer is terrifying, because most days are wasted, not on terrible things, just on nothing things, on autopilot, on distractions, on motion without meaning. And if that's what every day looks like, 5 years from now, you'll be exactly where you are now, maybe worse. But here's the beautiful and brutal truth. Every day is creating your future, not someday, not when you finally get serious. Today, right now, this moment. You're either building the life you want or you're building nothing. There's no neutral. Every action is a vote for the type of person you become. Every choice compounds. This is why what you do today matters, not because today is special, because today is typical. Today is what most of your days look like, and your life is just the sum of those typical days repeated thousands of times. If your typical day isn't building what you want, your life won't either. So let's talk about living like today matters, like every single decision is shaping your destiny, because it is. You're writing your story with your daily actions. Every chapter is just a collection of scenes, and every scene is just a collection of choices. What you choose today is what you become tomorrow. Start by asking yourself every morning, what kind of day would make me proud? Not what would impress someone else. What would make you go to bed tonight feeling good about yourself? What would make today count? Then do that. Build your entire day around that answer. For me, a day that makes me proud includes 3 things. I worked on something that matters, I moved my body, I was present with the people I care about. That's it. If I do those 3 things, today mattered. If I skip them, it didn't. Everything else is just filler. What are your 3 things? The 3 areas where daily progress creates the life you want. Figure that out. Write it down. Then make sure those 3 things happen before anything else. Not after you've done everything else. Before. Because if you wait until after, they won't happen. They'll get pushed aside by urgency and distraction and fatigue. Living like today matters also means eliminating tolerations. These are the things you're putting up with that you shouldn't be. The clutter in your space, the toxic person in your life, the job that drains you, the habit that's slowly destroying your health. You're tolerating them because dealing with them feels hard. But tolerating them is harder. It's just slower. Every day you tolerate something that's not serving you, you're training yourself to accept less than you deserve. You're teaching yourself that your standards don't actually matter, that you'll settle. That's dangerous, because settling becomes a habit, and once you accept it in one area, you accept it in every area. Stop tolerating, start eliminating. Pick one thing you've been putting up with and handle it this week. Cut it out, fix it, address it, whatever it takes. Then pick another next week. Slowly, you'll build a life that's aligned with your standards instead of compromising them. Another part of living like today matters is being present. You're not really living most of your days. You're just going through the motions, thinking about the past, worrying about the future, scrolling through your phone, anywhere but here. And while you're mentally absent, life is passing you by. Presence is a practice. It's choosing to be fully where you are. When you're working, work. When you're with someone, be with them. When you're resting, rest. Stop splitting your attention. Stop multitasking. Stop half-assing everything. The quality of your life improves dramatically when you're actually in it. And here's something you need to hear. You don't get a practice round. This is it. This is your life. Today is part of it. You don't get this Tuesday back. You don't get to redo this conversation. You don't get a second chance at this moment. So be here for it. Make it count. Stop waiting for your life to start. It started years ago. You're in the middle of it right now. Living like today matters also means protecting your energy. You can't show up fully if you're constantly drained, and you're draining yourself with things that don't deserve your energy. Toxic relationships, pointless drama, negative news, endless scrolling, complaining about things you can't control. All of it is leaking your life force. Guard your energy like it's your most valuable resource, because it is. You only have so much. Spend it on what builds you, on what brings you joy, on what moves your life forward. Everything else is a waste, and you don't have energy to waste. Now let's talk about legacy. Probably you think legacy is something you worry about when you're old. It's not. You're building your legacy right now. Your legacy is the impact you have on the people around you, the work you do, the way you show up, the person you become. All of that is happening today, not someday. What do you want people to remember about you? That you were busy? That you complained a lot? That you had potential but never did anything with it? Or that you showed up? That you did the work? That you made things happen? Your legacy is your daily actions accumulated over time. Make sure they're worth remembering. Here's a practice that will change how you see your days. Every night before bed, write down 3 things. One thing you did today that you're proud of, one thing you learned, one thing you're grateful for. That's it, 3 things. This forces you to extract value from every day. It trains you to look for progress, lessons, and blessings instead of just collapsing into bed feeling like nothing happened. Do this for a month, and you'll start seeing your days differently. You'll start making sure there's something to write down. You'll start living more intentionally because you know you'll be reviewing it later. This simple practice creates accountability to yourself. It makes today matter because you're paying attention to it. Living like today matters doesn't mean being intense every second. It doesn't mean never resting. It doesn't mean refusing to have fun. It means being intentional. It means choosing how you spend your time instead of letting time spend you. It means asking whether what you're about to do serves the life you're trying to build. Sometimes rest serves that life. Sometimes fun serves that life. But scrolling for 2 hours doesn't. Binge watching shows you don't even like doesn't. Complaining doesn't. Worrying doesn't. Those things don't serve anything. They're just time fillers. Stop filling time. Start investing it. And when you mess up, because you will, don't waste time on guilt. Guilt is just another way to avoid action. You had a bad day? Fine. Learn from it. Adjust. Do better tomorrow. But don't spiral. Don't let one bad day become a bad week because you're too busy feeling bad about the bad day. Move on. Get back on track. Keep going. Remember, you're building something every single day. You're either building the life you want or the life you don't want, but you're always building. So make it intentional, make it conscious, make it count. 5 years from now, you'll be somewhere. You'll be someone. That somewhere and that someone are being created right now by today's choices, today's habits, today's actions. You have complete control over what you're building, but only if you take that control. Only if you live like it matters. Because it does. Today matters. Tomorrow will matter. Every day matters. Not because any single day will change everything, because every day is a brick, and you're building something with those bricks. Make sure it's worth living in. Starting right now, live like today is part of your masterpiece. Because it is. Make it count. Conclusion: the life you build from this moment forward. You've made it to the end, but this isn't actually the end. It's the beginning. Because everything you just learned means nothing if you don't use it. And I need you to be honest with yourself about something. You're going to close this audiobook feeling motivated, maybe even inspired. And then you're going to test whether that motivation translates into action. Most people won't act. They'll agree with everything they heard. They'll nod along, they'll think that's so true, and then do exactly what they've always done. They'll go back to their scattered, reactive, comfortable life, and 6 months from now, they'll wonder why nothing changed. Don't be most people. You didn't listen this far to stay the same. You listened because somewhere inside you, you know you're capable of more. You know you've been avoiding what matters. You know you've been letting life happen to you instead of making life happen. And you're done with that. So here's what happens next. Today, not tomorrow, not Monday, today you make one decision, one change, one commitment. You pick the thing that matters most and you start doing it. You implement one system from this audiobook. You say no to one thing that's draining you. You start protecting your 3 hours. You stop negotiating with yourself about one thing. One change, right now. Because one change creates momentum, and momentum creates more change. You don't have to fix everything today. You just have to start somewhere. And wherever you start becomes the foundation for everything else. But you have to start. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. You've been entertained. Now it's time to transform. And transformation starts with one decision followed by one action repeated until it becomes who you are. Remember what we talked about. You know what matters. You know what you've been avoiding. You know what would change your life if you actually did it consistently. The knowing isn't the problem. The doing is. And the only thing standing between you and the doing is your willingness to be uncomfortable. Because doing what matters is uncomfortable. It's hard. It requires discipline. It demands that you show up when you don't feel like it, that you say no when you want to say yes, that you do the work when you'd rather distract yourself. That's the price, and you pay it daily. But here's what you get in return. Progress, pride, peace, the satisfaction of knowing you're building something instead of just existing, the confidence that comes from keeping your word to yourself, the life you actually want instead of the one you're settling for. That's worth the discomfort. So stop waiting. Stop planning to start. Stop telling yourself you'll begin when conditions are perfect. Conditions will never be perfect. You'll never feel completely ready. You'll never have enough time. You start with what you have, where you are, imperfectly, and you figure it out as you go. 5 years from now, you're going to be somewhere. You're going to be someone. That somewhere and someone are being created by what you do starting today, not by what you plan to do, not by what you wish you did, by what you actually do. Choose carefully, because you're choosing your future right now. Every day, every decision, every action, it's all choosing, and the life you end up with will be the sum of those choices. Make them count. Force yourself to do what matters. Stop negotiating. Stop avoiding. Stop settling. Start building. Start showing up. Start becoming who you know you're capable of being. The work starts now. Not after you finish this chapter. Not after you think about it some more. Now. What's the one thing you're going to do differently starting today? Decide, commit, act. Your future self is watching. Make them proud.